Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Tubi. And let's get to the list. Rupture is a 2016 sci-fi horror thriller, directed by Steven Shainberg and starring Noomi Rapace, Peter Stormare, and Michael Chiklis. Abducted and studied by a group of strangers, a single mother's genetic abnormality causes her to transform into her true self. So I had never really heard anyone talk about this movie. It may have been mentioned one time or another, but really I was just going through Tubi and I saw the cover, looked interesting, and I saw that Noomi Rapace was in it. And I know that she is a brilliant actress. She was in one of my favorite movies last year, even though she was very much like a bit part in it. She was in You Will Not Be Alone, and she's just a phenomenal actor. I also really like Peter Stormare. I swear to this day that the greatest performance ever of a devil was his in Constantine. He was just amazing in it. But this movie is very intense, really well done, especially for a smaller indie movie. But it takes you on this really interesting ride where you're not sure where it's going. Even up until really close to the end, you still really don't know what this deal is. There's just this group of people studying these other people, and you're not sure why. You're not sure if they're government or what they are, or what's the deal with it in general. And it's played in such a way that it just gives you this really mysterious, creeped out, very cool feeling. And Noomi Rapace really carries this movie because as it goes along, her intensity and her level of anxiety just goes through the roof. She has one part in particular of this movie where she's wearing this helmet. When you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And she just goes out of her mind, and it is absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed this movie, and I highly, highly recommend it. The Monster is a 2016 Canadian-American dramatic creature feature. Written and directed by Brian Bertino, it stars Zoe Kazan and Ella Ballentine. The plot follows a troubled mother and her adolescent daughter, who find themselves stranded at night on a country road, with a mysterious creature stalking their every move. I absolutely love this movie. I talked about it before when I did a Showtime list, but unfortunately, the algorithm did not like Showtime and nobody's really seen that video. But I was like, I have to recommend this again, especially now that you can watch it for free on Tubi. This is such a quality movie that's really flown under the radar. It's put out by A24, and it's one of my favorites, to be honest, from A24, because it blends together this very dramatic situation between this mother and daughter, where there's an underlying story that is the real core of this film. But for fans of creature features like me, it still gives you an absolutely sick creature. This is truly an underappreciated little film that I absolutely recommend. The Ninth Gate is a 1999 neo-noir thriller. It's loosely based on the Arturo Perez Reverte's 1993 novel, The Club Dumas. It stars Johnny Depp, Emmanuel Senior, and Frank Langella. The plot follows a detective who tries to authenticate a rare ancient book that purportedly contains magical secrets for summoning the devil.
All my own rare editions have the same protagonist, the devil. Only the supreme masterpiece was missing.
The Nine Gates is a kingdom of shadows. A book reputed to have been written by Satan himself.
So this is another one of those situations where you have to separate the art from the artist, because this was created by Roman Polanski. He wrote it, produced it, directed it, but he is an absolute piece of shit. But I do believe in separating the art from the artist, especially when it comes to film, because so many people are involved in creating a movie. You can't just put it on one person. There's actors, editors, light crew, everybody involved. Just literally hundreds of people are involved in creating a movie like this. So because of that, I separate it. And this is really one of my all-time favorite movies because I really love that neo-noir mysterious element of where you're trying to figure out what's going on with the detective. And Johnny Depp does this really great job of playing this quirky, fun, strange little detective guy who's digging deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole of evil and just the most corrupt people. It also has some really creative, disturbing imagery. I've seen this movie countless times, and I am always entertained by it. So in my opinion, you should definitely check it out.
Please. Please, I just want to go home.
This is your home.
1BR is a 2019 horror movie. Written and directed by David Marmor in his directorial debut. It stars Nicole Braden Bloom, Giles Matheny, Noomi Grossman, and Taylor Nichols. New to Los Angeles, a woman moves into what seemingly is a perfect apartment complex, but soon finds out that there are dire consequences to breaking the rules.
I just moved here. I don't really know anyone.
What brought you to LA?
Trying to start a new life.
Missed one here. Any pets?
Nope.
This is a real hidden gem. It's so well shot and directed, it's well acted, just the whole movie has this really great polish to it, especially for something that is a very small movie. But in no way does it feel small and insignificant. The story really grabs you and pulls you in and keeps you captivated the entire time. I found myself completely engrossed into it and was surprised many times by it. It takes these disturbing, unnerving twists all the way into the very end. If you're a fan of well-crafted indie horror, this is an absolute must.
Play it.
The Sonata is a 2018 mystery thriller, directed by Andrew Desmond from a screenplay by Desmond and Arthur Morin. It stars Freya Tingley, Rutger Hauer, and Simon Abkarian. A gifted musician inherits a mansion when her long-lost father suddenly dies, but soon she discovers he has many hidden evil secrets.
Your father is dead. You are the one and only heiress of Richard Marlowe, the composer. For the house.
So this is the last movie I watched while putting this together, and right away I was like, alright, this is one that's definitely going on it, because it's so atmospheric and just very fun in that mysterious way. It reminds me in a lot of ways of The Ninth Gate, just how you go down this journey with this character, and slowly you're unfolding these hidden secrets and this mysterious situation that you don't know the answer to, and every time you think you figured it out, it just has one more strange wrinkle to throw at you. This is a small movie that does have some budgetary restraints. You could definitely see in a few different things where their budget didn't let them have the special effects that were quite, up to par, and they do look a little dated even though this isn't that old of a movie. But if you can look over that, this is a very entertaining little movie that I think you'll really enjoy. Wrong Turn is a 2003 slasher horror movie. Directed by Rob Schmidt and written by Alan B. McElroy. It stars Desmond Harrington, Eliza Dushku, and Emmanuel Cricri. The plot follows a group of 5 friends who are left stranded in the middle of the woods when their car breaks down. As they venture deeper in the woods, they face an uncertain and blood-curdling fate.
Hey, you all right? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I just found this tied to a tree back there. Somebody did this.
This is such an absolute classic at this point. It's entertaining on so many levels. I love the style, the pacing, the look. It just takes me back to that early 2000s where the movies weren't exactly quality, but they were very entertaining. I had a huge crush, especially on Eliza Dushku at the time, and so this takes me back to that as well. But there's just so many iconic, memorable scenes in this movie, especially with the cannibals. Everything from when they're up in the tree to the gory bloodshed elements. This has got some really gruesome awesome, fantastic kills, and just an overall blast of a movie. So if you haven't seen it in a while, or if for some weird reason you've never seen it, then definitely get on it and check it out while it's still on Tubi.
I could be with it again.
The Special is a 2020 dark comedy thriller, directed by B. Harrison Smith and written by James Newman and Mark Steensland. It stars Davey Rafferty, Dave Sheridan, and Sarah French. So a man suspects his wife of infidelity, so he follows his friend down a dark rabbit hole into a horror landscape of addiction.
She cheated on you first, right?
So I have to cheat on her?
You're a good guy, and you're a great husband. And that is why I have the perfect thing for you.
This movie is so fun. It is a very small movie. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of a Twilight Zone episode, or even maybe a Tales from the Crypt that's just kind of stretched out. And in that way, it does feel a tiny bit long because it does feel like it could have been shortened and still been a good time. But I never found myself bored, and it really did catch me off guard at times, especially at the end. It really goes for it in the final act that really makes it worth sticking around for. Because it is a pretty small movie, so for a lot of it, there isn't anything major happening. Not any huge special effects or action. But it's slowly taking you, like I said, down this weird rabbit hole into this hellscape. But it's just a very quirky, strange movie that I don't want to tell you too much about, because if you know the general premise of what this movie is about and what you're really going in for, it kind of ruins the surprise. That makes it a lot more fun, because I went into this completely blind and was really caught off guard, and it was a lot of fun not knowing. So this isn't the kind of movie to take too serious at all. It's just a fun little demented ride that I think you'll absolutely have a good time with.
So we may be judged in his image.
Honeydew is a 2020 independent horror movie. Written and directed by Devereaux Milbourne, it stars Sawyer Spielberg, Mullen Barr, and Barbara Kingsley. Strange cravings and hallucinations befall a young couple after they are stranded in the middle of nowhere.
Hi. We were just wondering if we could borrow your phone.
Oh, please, where are my manners? You two must be starving.
This movie gets so awkward and uncomfortable just the entire time. It is a bit of a slow burn, so you do kind of got to be patient with it, but it kind of builds up on you. It becomes more and more unsettling and just creepy as hell. It's a very unique little horror movie that really is sadly flown under the radar. You almost never hear anyone talk about it, but it really is a fantastic little gem. It's well put together. The actors, even though they're not people you really recognize, they give really fantastic performances, especially the older lady. She's just so creepy and just gives off these eerie vibes. It is a very odd little movie, so it may not be for everyone, but if you enjoy weird, twisted indie horror, then you most definitely need to see this one.
You came here to be scared, right? I can't arrest people for doing their job. Welcome to Hellfest.
Hellfest is a 2018 slasher horror movie, directed by Gregory Plotkin and written by Akela Cooper. It stars Amy Forsyth, Raina Edwards, and Tony Todd. The story follows a group of teens that are stalked by a serial killer while visiting a traveling Halloween carnival.
Are you ready to enter the depths of hell?
So there's a big reason I wanted to mention this, and that's Akela Cooper, the writer of this movie. She wasn't the sole writer, there was a few other people that worked on the script, but I wanted to mention her because she is who wrote the script for *Malignant* and then most recently the film *Megan*. And I did do a review of *Megan*, so definitely go check that out, but I didn't know that when I saw *Megan*, and I felt these ties to *Malignant*, and I even mentioned that in my review, and someone was like, hey, she also wrote *Malignant*. And when I looked into it, I was like, oh my God, and she also wrote Hellfest. I really enjoy her style of writing. There's just this something you can feel that connects them. It's hard to even put words on it, but there's this strange kind of quirkiness that you could just see in these movies that in some way her hand is affected. Because these don't have the same actors, they don't have the same directors, and yet there is this weird kind of quirkiness to them that I very much enjoy. So this is a small movie, but I absolutely love the look of it. The main reason that I enjoy this movie, that I love this movie, is just the way it looks. It's very much a perfect movie for the Halloween season, but really, it's a fun little slasher for any time of year. But right now, when you're starting to get that Jonesin' for Halloween vibe, you're done with Christmas and you're moving on, and some of us, some weirdos like me, just absolutely love Halloween and need a little Halloween fix from time to time, this is the perfect movie for that. Because it's just absolutely dripping in Halloween. I always have such a fun time with this movie. I'm not gonna say that it's a perfect movie. It's got its flaws. It's not the greatest movie, but it is what it is. It knows what it is. It's a campy, silly little slasher that looks great and has a fun little story to it. It's not a movie to take serious. It doesn't have the greatest acting. It's not a mind-blowing movie, but it is very, very fun and one that I think you'll absolutely be entertained by.
It's a weird business, Sid.
Antiviral is a 2012 sci-fi horror movie. Written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, it stars Caleb Landry Jones, Sarah Gadon, Douglas Smith, and Malcolm McDowell. In a blackly satirical near future, a thriving industry sells celebrity illnesses to their obsessed fans.
My clients want to feel more connected to those people that they see in the magazines and on television.
Enjoy.
So far, I've had all her diseases.
So Brandon is the son of legendary filmmaker David Cronenberg, and the apple does not fall far from the tree because he is becoming an absolutely fantastic filmmaker in his own right. Back in 2020, he did the film Possessor, which was one of my absolute favorites that year. And next month, he has a new movie coming out called Infinity Pool that I talked more about in last week's video if you want to go back and check that out, where I talk about the upcoming horror movies of this year that I'm excited to see. And that's one of them, one of the very top of the list. The trailer for it looks amazing. But this is where he got his start. This was his first full-length movie. And for a first full-length, man, this movie is fantastic. He really took a big bite. Is it perfect? No, it does have a few things where you could tell he's still learning to be a filmmaker. But the overall vision of this movie is fantastic. The idea, the weird, creepy nature that this movie goes into. It has strange body horror and uncomfortable scenes that just will be burned into your memory. It is a bit of a slow burn, so you gotta kind of hang in there because there's a lot of scenes in this that are very much building the drama with lots of dialogue. But it's the overall narrative and the ideas that are presented here that are just so unsettling that you constantly have this feeling of uneasiness. I absolutely love David Cronenberg movies, and Brandon really kind of took where his dad left off in some ways and is running with it. It has this same kind of uneasy look on the world and some of the things that we're doing to ourselves in a cautionary tale kind of way. I'm so excited for his new movie Infinity Pool and just to see where his future goes, because I think he is definitely going to be right up there with his dad as far as being a phenomenal filmmaker. But this is a really entertaining movie that nobody talks about, and I think you really need to see it. This is a thought-provoking movie that really gets under your skin and sticks with you. But for some reason, no one is talking about this movie. But I think it is an absolute great time and one I highly recommend. I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to my Ghost Pirate Army, to you guys over on Patreon, because you guys and your support means so much to me. And if you would like to find out how you can become a part of the army over there and help support this channel, there's a link down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun! If you enjoyed this, click right here to see my most anticipated horror movies coming this year. And I'll see you guys next time!